Hi everyone, Daily Juice, Anna is here. Happy Monday. I hope Monday is your favorite day. It is for me. A lot of work to get done. New week is starting, so how was your weekend? I hope well. So I promised you to talk about debt in my next couple of episodes, but today's I was thinking about where should I start with talking about debt, and couldn't really quite come up with appropriate topic because there's so much to cover, and decided to actually take a different route and talk about insurance. Now, full disclosure right away, I am a financial planner, but I do not sell insurance. That's not what I do. My work is primarily based on comprehensive financial planning, and insurance, actually, all kinds of insurance, happens to be part of a comprehensive plan. And so I am obligated as the certified financial planner to comment and provide suggestions and recommendations. But for products, my clients go out and use other resources. So that's where I'm starting from. Thanks so much for hopping on. Say hello in the chat. Let me know you're here. Good to have you. So I wanted to talk to you about life insurance today because when I look at everybody's financial plan, and two areas where everyone mostly underinsured: life insurance and disability. Okay, so today we're going to talk about life insurance. I just want to cover a couple of basic things that you need to understand about life insurance, and then we can figure out how much actually do you need, because that's the question, right? You need to look at insurance, not just life insurance, but any type of insurance, is when you can't yourself retain the risk. Then you transfer that risk onto the insurance company. Now, in case of life insurance, and the reason I decided to talk about this today is because of a special date, right? A sad day, 9/11, and 16 years ago, a lot of people lost their lives. And I don't know, I couldn't help but think about all those families who actually had to deal with a lot of grief, for sure. But when you come to realize that not only you lost your loved one, there's also the aftermath that you have to deal with. So I wanted to ask you, where were you on 9/11? Do you remember your date? Actually, I was freshman in college. I remember I started first year, since it was just a couple weeks. I went to Towson University, and I remember I was coming back from one of my first, I think it was like a fitness kind of a class, and I had to go to a bookstore to pick up some books. And when I got to the bookstore, there was a lot of people standing around a TV, and I couldn't figure out why. All of them were just sort of looking, staring at that screen. Still couldn't figure out why for a while. I got my books and got in the car because I didn't have any more classes that day, and headed home. And when I turned the radio on, then I started to hearing all kinds of things. So that was what I remember from 9/11. Let me know how what you were doing that day, and drop in the comments below. But let's get to life insurance. So there's two things about life insurance that I want to understand. Number one, we need to look at it from the standpoint of a need. How much life insurance do you really need? And there's a couple of ways how we as advisors approach that calculation, right? So I can look at your situation, and once I understand the kind of obligations you have, and what kind of obligations am I talking about? Do you have a family, right? Because most of the times that's who you want to protect with life insurance. Do you have a family? Do you have dependents that are depending on you in your income to provide for them? So that's need number one. Number two, do you have debts and obligations that you want to cover and support for your family and your dependents, again, if you're not here in those cases? And so, and then I guess a third defining factor would be if you have children, right, for whom you're planning maybe perhaps to save for college. Hi Joseph, thanks for hopping on. What does that look like? So when you're thinking about life insurance, a lot of times people think, oh, I've got $1 million and that's something that's provided to me through my employer. Well, that's great, right? That's free coverage. and you don't have to pay anything. But remember that the minute you leave, that coverage goes away. That's number one. Number two, it's not guaranteed that $1 million, and I'm just picking the number, right? It's just a random number, but that's what I see the most out there, is going to be enough of coverage. So think about the needs that you actually have. And if you were to disappear, what will those needs be covered for your family? The other piece I wanted to mention is providing the actual support to your family, not just making sure that the mortgage is paid off or the education for your children's college is covered, but replacing your income, right? Because that's what's going to help your family stay afloat, right? Now, the other point about life insurance is understanding the type of life insurances, right? And there's two distinct types of life insurances. There's a permanent life insurance. That means that you buy a policy and it lasts your entire life. And you better have a permanent need to carry that type of life insurance, okay? And then there is a permanent type of life insurance, which covers permanent types of needs, and that's called term. So you select a certain amount of terms. Hi Marina, thanks for joining. So you have maybe 5-year need, or you have 10 years, or 20, or 15, or you can go all the way to 30. If it gets beyond 30, then we need to talk about permanent life insurance, okay? Most people today, right, have temporary needs. So if you're starting and you're growing a family, your needs are temporary because at some point the kids will grow up, the mortgage will be paid off, and you don't have as much obligations. So think about carrying insurance that's only going to provide coverage for those some critical 10 to 15 to 20 years. Because the cost of insurance also depends not only on, if you go the private route, on how healthy you are, but also on the type, right? Because permanent life insurance tends to have not only the insurance component, but it also has the investment component. So you tend to pay a little bit more in premiums, right? And then therefore you sort of build up an investment or slash savings, depending on the type of a policy, on the side, but you still have that insurance component. So you have to decide, what are your needs? Again, do you have a permanent need? That's the very first question I want to ask you. If you have a permanent need, okay, let's look at what that permanent need is. But for most of you, temporary needs, starting families, having dependents, and providing enough of those benefits, okay? That's what your basic life insurance assessment should be. The other thing to point out is, where do you get your life insurance, okay? So you need to think about the fact that maybe you are given some type of insurance, and it could be term coverage, or it could be permanent coverage through your employer. But you have to remember that when you are participating in those group plans, typically it costs more, right? Because think about it, you're in the pool with everybody else. So there could be people that are perfectly healthy, and there could be people who have certain conditions and diseases, and everybody's put in the same bucket, and cost of insurance is calculated that way. So you're sharing the cost of those people who aren't exactly healthy. Sometimes insurance is provided through your employer, which is great. Take advantage of that. But let's think about, could you go outside of what your employer provides and find coverage on your own? Okay, I'm going to leave it at that because we're not getting into the details of how to do it and where to get it. That's something, again, I don't sell insurance, so I could provide resources if you're interested, but I would like for us to have a discussion about first really understanding how much coverage you need, how healthy you are, right? Because that also plays into the cost of insurance, right? And then looking for what type of coverage do we need. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know what questions you have. At least take a look at what is being provided to you at the moment, if anything, and let's continue this discussion. I will see you. Thanks for hopping on. I don't know, the connection is pretty weak here on my end, so I couldn't see your comments. Hi Marina, thanks for joining. Awesome to have you here. Yeah, so life insurance, let me know what questions you have. I do have a few friends in my network who are specifically working on insurance products, so perhaps we can have a joint discussion and they can go into maybe talking a little bit more in details about certain products, right? Because there's so much out there. But at least at the very basic, figure out if you have enough coverage. And if you want me to help you, let me know. I'm happy to chat with you. Okay? That's all I've got for you today. This is Anna and Daily Juice. You guys take care, and thanks for tuning in.